Normally on this channel, I like to explore what kinds of bases that people build, then snoop around and give them a mark out of 10 for fun. But as I wandered around my new hard mode server, I found something that I did not expect, and that was that it's full of maniacs with nothing to lose. How could I review bases on a server with no sanity in sight? As I got closer to this chaotic spiral step-filled field of madness, I realized that this wasn't just one person's descent into psychopathy, it was two. I tried to understand what function this entropic nightmare could possibly serve, but came up with nothing. Instead, when I noticed that one of our two builders actually had a legitimate domicile next to their creative outlet, I decided to investigate. Perhaps it would give us some insight into what I was dealing with. Pink checkered floors, a stardust resonant filter and some intrusive rocks, a bit strange but certainly not deranged. That was until I headed upstairs, where it appeared that I had stumbled upon a dark ritual. This otherwise empty room was incredibly unnerving. Seeing a circle of acolytes surround the unbridled fury of the manibus, perhaps this was the source of a corruption that was infecting the entire server. I remembered back to earlier in the week when this server opened. I'd stumbled across a tunnel with a message, "Remember to fly." Turned out that someone had built a base, a large platform of wood with seemingly no reason to exist other than to prop up what had been created above. Naturally, I found it rude to resist an open offer of hospitality and took the plunge. Upon landing, it dawned on me what was intended by our crazy builder. It was so that you could make it over the barbed wire fence, of course! And the spiral stairwell gave me another shot at glory, which I was only too happy to take. Hopefully the bike would take it as well, because while I didn't pay $300 for the Ghost Rider pack, if I wasn't careful, I'd get one for free. I learned from my first jump and approached from farther away. It was now or never. It was only after I landed that I realized that our builder had found a way to destroy all the bikes on the server, and people would not only never complain, they'd be happy about it. Back to the madness, I decided to take the paths that our builders had laid down, trying to understand if there was a silly fun game to be had while leaping across the stairs. But instead, I found myself losing my grip on reality, and hysteria tried to whisk me from my senses. I spotted a third base amidst the chaos and realized that this was someone who had perhaps been unaffected by the dark clouds of the ritual across the way. Despite the red light and scary happy face above the door, I was undeterred and found my way inside using the good old motorbike platform. To my surprise, this was an elegant home with safety barriers preventing nasty falls to the basement. Cable management was excellent. The basement seemed like a perfectly functional workshop, and it wasn't a torture scene. Well, except for putting the disassembly machine against the window, completely blocking out the light! Well, it wasn't the only thing blocking out the light, so I guess it didn't matter at this point. But the split stairwell was a nice touch, even if the picture above the bed was utter nightmare fuel. Upstairs led to an attic where more potential could possibly be reached in the future. All in all, a normal home. But what I was about to discover was more sinister than I could ever have guessed, because as I strolled outside back through the brittle tall grass, there it was, in capital letters. Leave. This wasn't a singular warning either, as our other spiral wielder had the same message. The only conclusion I could come to was that the relatively normal house had been served an eviction notice. They refused to comply and was instead given a troll-tastic view for their impudence. With the world being upside down, I wondered if there were any normal bases left on this server, only to stumble across not one, but two upside-down houses just 100 yards up the hill from the Stairwell Lords. Having come across this phenomenon before, this was nothing new to me, but I still decided to take a peek inside. I was instantly struck by the printing of the roof, and these topsy-turvy houses, they felt smaller than the one I'd previously rated. The sticky, damp chessboard checkered floor never provided the ease of being indoors, but I found myself nodding in approval at just how much had been achieved on a free-to-play build for the first week of a server. This was phase 1 after all. But upstairs, I felt like I was being watched. Multiple pairs of eyes followed me wherever I walked. The uniformity of the floor tiles juxtaposed with the geometric ceiling made it feel like I'd entered a care home for declining deviants. What is that disgusting answer? And the other house across the way, well, it mirrored the vibe, and I concluded that both of these builders were infected with manibasitis. I travelled through the night trying to find someone who had not yet been afflicted and stumbled upon what could only be described as a vacation house for Darth Vader. Getting closer to the plethora of triangles and squares revealed the ambience fitting of a Sith Lord. There was only one way in, and that was up. After being struck in the head multiple times, I collected myself and began a tour of this hollow nightmare. Garage placed in the middle of the floor? Psychopath confirmed. Speaking of middle of the floor, crates! Right there! Up I went again, but this time to something I did not expect. A peaceful rooftop retreat, chairs and parasols so that all the Dark Lords can enjoy the view over a cocktail or two, with fire pits to help channel their rage, all the while giving thanks to the unholy energy from the Monolith. I rode through the day and searched for someone untouched by the chaos, stumbling on a monumental base, which was a bad time to realize the limitations of my brakes. NANI? Walking around this structure resembling a pyramid, that feeling of unease washed over me once again, because I could not fathom a reason for the existence of a singular column housing a triangle at the top. Was this a secret sign for other acolytes? I hurried inside, but remained wary. Who knew if that was a tripwire, unleashing instantaneous death so the owner could cook me on their stove? They're standing there waiting! My fears were further exasperated by cable management. All the wires were just stuffed towards a clock face. I checked the corridor, half expecting to see piles of victims, but was relieved to see it empty. Cautiously meandering upstairs, I was pleasantly surprised by the warmth of this room. Spacious, well lit, and it looked like I was wrong after all. Even though it appeared that killer fish were being bred and experimented on, perhaps this place was... No, never mind. It was completely cursed. The roof was constantly squirming and writhing, bursting at the seams with corruption. I decided now was a good time to leave. Nice and slowly, as to not arouse suspicion, jumped over the tripwire and hasta la vista, I'm never coming here again. It was nighttime now, and I still hadn't found anything even remotely resembling normal. It would appear that this house would be no different. As I got closer, the feeling of dread rose within me, so I readied my torch for the tour to come. This was a terrifying titan of a tower, and the deviants, though huddled under the canopy, couldn't all benefit from the cover, and yet seemingly all preferred to be outside anyway. Hollow and cold inside. No sign of lights anywhere. An empty room but for a bed in the corner was not an encouraging sight, and when ascending the stairs, I felt something call to me, just as it had to our builder. The allure of the Monolith.
You can be a troll. Trolling is fun. Build troll things. Build troll. Terror.
I found no more rooms, just stairs and the Monolith.
Trash.
And stairs and the... I didn't know what this was. Then it became clear. A Digby boy had been sent to excavate among the wolves, and this was the perfect place to watch them devour him. I considered intervening, but over the years I have developed a strong sense of apathy for all living things, especially deviants. More stairs took me to the rooftop where I got another view of, that's right, the Monolith. A poor, terrified squirrel had somehow clambered up the tower to escape the wolves, and I also wondered if I should camp here for the night lest I face those ravenous beasts. However, the decision was soon taken from me as the final boss of the corruption revealed himself. If you'd like to save me from my server, why not join our Discord and show off your base? Perhaps I'll come and visit. I mean, that's once I've had multiple surgeries on both of my legs. Take it easy, catch you on the next one. Peace!